All right. Welcome everyone to the February 3rd, 2022 meeting of CB11's Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee. My name is Jessica Elliott and I'm the chair of that committee. The meeting is called to order at 6:37. Tonight we are joined by District Manager Angel Muscane, the staff liaison to our committee. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. 1, no one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. If you click the participants icon, the participants panel should appear and you should find a raise hand function there. If you still have technical difficulty, you may click the chat icon and relay your difficulty to the staff. The chat function should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should be only used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information like an email address that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. When a member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you and you can unmute yourself so that you can speak. Please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand through Zoom and wait to be recognized. And Angel, we're skipping roll call at this time. Let's see, we'll come back to that. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand through Zoom. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Meeting minutes from our last meeting were distributed to committee members ahead of time by the board office. If there is no objection, we'll adopt the minutes from that meeting. Committee members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand through Zoom. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the last meeting are adopted. They will soon be available on the CB11 website. The minutes of tonight's meeting are being taken by myself. All right. We'll come back to roll call after announcements. So we'll start with our city agencies. Are there any city agencies here that wish to give an update ahead of any presentations? Okay.
David is here from Randall's Island.
Okay, yep. So we'll go to Parks Advocacy Groups.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure which hat he was wearing.
No problem. No updates from city agencies. So we'll move on to Parks Advocacy Groups. David, you can go ahead.
Sure. Hi, Jessica. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to speak a couple really quick things, and then I have Chris Giorgenti here, who is our Director of Environmental Programming. Last meeting, I said I wanted to have him come in and just kind of briefly speak about some of our educational programming that's coming up. So let me speak real quick, and then I'm just going to flip it over to him. So real quick, we had an event it was supposed to be last week that got canceled by the snow, so we're giving it another shot. Our winter bird walk is this Saturday, 2 to 3:30, and followed by a winter fun kind of hot cocoa s'mores. Snowshoeing is probably not going to be on the agenda, even though it was supposed to be with all the rain we're getting. So that's this Saturday. It was supposed to be last week. In general, we've been dealing with a lot of the snow operations out at the park that a lot of my other parkies have been throughout the borough. And I also want to remind people that we still have seasonal jobs posted on our website, as well as some year-round. So if anyone knows anyone interested, please do share them. They can go to our website and find all those listings there, randallsisland.org. And yeah, I mean, that's probably about it. We're just kind of getting ready for the year. And with that, I just wanted to turn it over to Chris, because I did want to introduce like some of what's going on in our educational programming this upcoming year. Chris.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me and letting me speak. We're very excited. We actually just hired a new education coordinator who will be directly reaching out to educators, parent coordinators, and other contacts that we have at East Harlem schools. We're expecting to be able to have pretty open availability this spring, or full availability rather. We're going to be returning back to normal capacity. So we'd love to have schools come out to us. We recognize that the Department of Education buses not necessarily being available is going to be a challenge, but we're excited that this new education coordinator is going to be able to work very closely with all of our contacts at these schools to try and work things out, and we're going to get real creative about it so we can make sure as many kids as possible get to benefit from our free urban farm and waterfront stewardship programs. And I just wanted to mention out as well as a request, if you guys have teachers, parents, or any other contacts who you think would be interested in our field trip programs, we'll be updating our website in the next 2 weeks, but you can also reach out to me directly and I can provide my email to the community board to share out afterwards. We're also locking in our 2022 programming calendar. We're super excited about this. We're going to return to our full three family festivals, the Cherry Blossom, Waterfront Stewardship, and Harvest Festival, to be out in the park, as well as an exciting array of movie nights, drop-in programs, arts and crafts on the farm, and other programs. And all of that should be updated, like I said, in the next few weeks for everyone to be able to view and check out. So we'd love to hear from you guys. Certainly, if you have any contacts or leads or groups that you think maybe we missed in our outreach that you'd like to make sure we get back on our radar. But we're really excited to be opening up back to full capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Luckily, we have the chair of our Youth and Education Committee, David Giordano, on the call. So I think you said you're posting your email in the chat.
Yes, I will. I will do that. And
Okay.
Hello, David. Nice to know you're here.
Great. Are there any questions for Randall's Island Park Alliance, Malik?
Yes. I didn't get to know, but I wanted to know, I know you said Saturday I had, I believe it's bird watching, but where
Yes,
in the park? But
Oh,
where
I'm sorry.
in the park would it be? You said 2:30, right? 2:30?
Yes, 2:30. Good thing we have Chris here. Chris, where is the meetup for the winter walk section on there?
Yes. So the winter bird walk is going to be held starting off at the 103rd Street footbridge. We actually already have 70 people registered, which is quite a bit, but certainly if a few others wanted to come out, we'll be handing out free binoculars, and we're going to have a range of guides. So there will be some of us who are going to be working more directly with young families, first-time birders, and for those who have more experience, there will be guides who will be able to lead that. There'll be 3 total guides, and then the whole thing will end around 4 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock at Icon Stadium for s'mores. So the s'mores will take place just outside the stadium. We have these little safe campfire canisters, a nice long marshmallow roasting steak. So it should be a really great time. This is the first time that we've tried to do s'mores, but we're really excited, and we think it's going to be a great time.
And last question, where can we pre-register? Since you said 70 people, so where would, or is it closed at this moment?
So right now there's a wait list for it, but you can find this on our website at randallsisland.org if you look under our events tab. And then the s'mores is actually open, so there's no registration for it. It's drop-in, anyone who can come. We have the ability to make several hundred s'mores. So I definitely encourage people to come to that if you are not able or weren't able to sign up for the bird walk necessarily. Though again, we don't know exactly how many people show up, so there's a possibility if people did come that they might actually still be able to get in on the tour for the bird walk.
And just, Emily, just for our programming in general, not all of them are registration. This is kind of a winter one. A lot of times they're completely drop in, and we always have them up on randallsisland.org. There's an events tab. And as Chris said, as we get into the season, we're going to have a lot more programming. This is kind of like a little bit like a one-off winter programming event. But really soon, within the next couple of weeks, you're going to see our actual spring and summer events start populating. And you should check it out. A few of them are require registration, but a lot of them are just open for drop-ins.
Thank you.
Thank you, Malik. Are there any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay. We'll move on. Any other parks advocacy groups? Debbie or anyone else? Please raise your hand if you would like to give a. Jennifer, we're going to have you go during the other community-based organizations. All right. Looks like you're up. Go ahead.
Great. Hi, I'm Jennifer Ratner. I'm the board chair of Friends of the East River Esplanade. I'm just tagging on to Randall's Island robust programming. We don't have anything definitely planned for the winter, but we will have again in East Harlem at the bait station, the El Barrio bait station at 100th Street, a reprise of our fishing program where we taught kids and adults how to fish last year. It was extremely limited in enrollment due to COVID, and I'm hoping that it'll be more open and that we might be able to do more than one day because it was really, really fun. That was in conjunction with the DEC, and we have some tentative dates on, but once they're firmed up, I'll get those to you. And same as with Randall's Island, if you know any school groups, community groups that have sort of after school programs who might be interested in partnering or just kind of taking over one of our events, please let us know, because the bait station's a really great thing for kids to congregate around, learn about fishing, cleaning fish, and the different kinds of fish that are in our estuary. And then we also still, just to remind you, up until spring is Photoville Festival is still up, including Lola Flash's photographs at 96th Street and the river. And the only other place you can see her work right now, again, is at MoMA. So East Harlem Waterfront and MoMA. So I hope you enjoy that. And then we're really looking forward to EDC. Just to put a little chime in our 2 cents, you know, we've been advocating for this new fantastic waterfront to evolve for the past decade or so. And besides the basics of water, a comfort station, and places for people to run, bike, walk, and stroll, something that surprises and delights people, an area for programming for the community to congregate and have events will be key. And we're excited to see what the near future holds at this point. So looking forward to that. Thank you. That's it. If anyone has any questions, I'll put my email, eastriveresplanade@gmail.com. I'll put that in the chat. We also have a website, esplanadefriends.org. And most importantly, all of our events will appear on our social media. We're especially active on Instagram and on Facebook, and our handle is @esplanadefriend. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jennifer. Are there any questions for Jennifer and Friends of the East River Esplanade from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. Nice to see you. And we'll move on to Sharon from Civitas. Do you have an update?
No, I don't have an update. I'm here to listen. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Jessica.
No problem. All right. Are there any other community-based organizations who would like to give an update to our committee today? Please raise your hand. All right. See, oh, hold on. I see 2 hands in the Louis Bailey from the public.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Louis Bailey, Manager of Membership and Organizing at We Act for Environmental Justice. 2 quick announcements. Next Thursday, February 10th, We Act and the Harlem Emergency Network and the East Harlem Co-ed are having a community-based meeting to discuss extreme weather, to develop a extreme weather disaster plan. So we'll be creating some scenarios about extreme weather events and trying to brainstorm. And this is in conjunction with all the other community boards that We Act works in, which is 9 through 12. So that's the Thursday, the 10th, and it'll be at 6 p.m. Then at our membership meeting on Saturday, February 12th, the topic is going to be Go Electric, No Fossil Fuels, Yes to Health. We'll be discussing our out of gas pilot project, which we are swapping out gas stove for electric induction stoves and talking about how those impacts on the indoor air quality. I'll put those 2 links in the chat along with my contact information. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And Louis, just to confirm, it's Thursday, 2/10 at 6 p.m. is the Extreme Weather Action Plan meeting?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
And you have regular meetings on 2/12?
Our regular membership meetings are on the second Saturday of every month.
Okay. And that's discussing health and, sorry, I missed it. I'm trying to go fast.
No, it's going to be discussing, we're talking about electric and phasing out fossil fuels. So
Okay,
it's
great.
getting out with
Clean
gas,
energy.
electric.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're
Are there
welcome.
any questions for We Act from the board? Any questions from the public? Louis, thank you for being here. Those are passions of mine, so I will do my best to attend both of those meetings.
Thank you so much.
All right. Are there last call for any community-based organizations or groups who would like to make an announcement? All right. I believe we're going to go back to roll call. We will now take attendance. What?
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, we will now take attendance by roll call. Board members, you can unmute yourselves and answer present when your name is called.
Diane Collier,
Present.
Jessica Elliott,
Present.
David Giordano, Ivy Hume, Alonzo Johnson, Connie Lee,
Present.
Malik McCullough, Shirley Pena, Debbie Quinones, Natasha Rodriguez,
Present.
Russell Schuler,
Present.
Michelle Wilcher Clement,
Present.
Jordan Wright. You have quorum.
David's here.
Obviously, I'm here, Andrew.
I called you and you answered.
I'm here now. I'm driving. I'm sorry.
Okay, Dave. Drive safe. We got you. Thank you, buddy.
Okay, thanks.
Great. Thank you, Angel.
Mhm.
We will now move on to presentations and discussions. Our first presentation is Department of Parks and Recreation and EDC presenting on the Manhattan Greenway Harlem River and 107th Street Pier. Welcome.
Hello. Good evening. I'm Fernando Ortiz on behalf of EDC. I am the Upper Manhattan and Bronx Borough Director, and I'm joined today by my colleagues at the New York City Economic Development Corporation and our colleagues at the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation. And we are here today to provide an update on the Manhattan Greenway Harlem River and the 107th Street Pier. So I will pass it along to my colleagues who will now present.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Meredith Simon Pearson. I'm a senior project manager in the capital program at EDC. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'll also let my colleagues introduce themselves. You met Fernando, who's from EDC. We also have Catherine here with us. Catherine, do you want to say hi?
Hi, thanks so much for having us. Looking forward to working on this project.
And we have some colleagues from New York City Parks Department here as well. I'll pass it to Grace.
Hi, my name is Grace Tang, project manager at Parks in the Planning Division. I'll be working on the 107th Street Pier project. Nice to meet you all.
I'm Sarah.
Sarah Nielsen, also from New York City Parks Department in the Planning Division. And I actually work on both of these projects we're talking about tonight. So nice to see you all again. Some of you I've seen before. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Alda Chan. I am a planner at New York City Parks, working with Sarah and Grace. I've been at this board before to provide some updates about the Manhattan Greenway Harlem River project. That was last year, so we're really excited to be back with some updates.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mary. I'm a project planner also with Sarah, Alda, and Grace at the Planning Division, New York City Parks, and I will be working on Pier 107 Valley Wagner Walk. Nice to meet you all.
Thanks, everyone. So tonight we're going to be talking about Manhattan Greenway Harlem River, which is a project that's currently in design, and an upcoming project at 107th Street Pier and the East River Esplanade. So we'll start with Harlem River. This project has been presented many times to CB11 over the past few years. So tonight we'll have a refresher on the project background and then some project status and updates. So Manhattan Greenway Harlem River is a project that's part of a larger Greenway plan to close the loop around the island of Manhattan. And the area between 125th Street and 132nd Street shown here is one of the last remaining gaps in this complete Greenway. So our project will provide greater access to the waterfront, safe pedestrian and bikeways, along with park amenities. And EDC is implementing this project on behalf of Parks as part of a larger project where we're managing for the restoration of the structural integrity of the waterfront along almost the entirety of the Manhattan side of the Harlem River. So our project goals include providing continuous and enhanced access to and along the Harlem River Park by completing the design for the Esplanade between East 125th Street and East 132nd Street, concurrent with bulkhead reconstruction, as well as marine infrastructure repairs north of the park from East 132nd to West 145th Streets and West 155th Streets to Spindler's Cove. Will advance the improvement of the 32-mile-long Manhattan Greenway waterfront, provide recreational and programming opportunities for existing and future East Harlem residents, enhance environmental benefits, including water quality and wildlife habitat. And as a reminder, the project budget is $227 million of city capital money. And it includes these 3 sub-project areas. So you can see in the map on the right, sub-project 1 from 125th to 132nd is where that new 7-acre park will be. And those other 2 sub-projects are where the bulkhead reconstruction will be. So in 2018, the concept plan was completed, which the community board is familiar with. And in 2021, the preliminary design was completed, which I believe was presented to this board in June and was approved by PDC in July of 2021. So we're currently progressing final detailed design drawings for this project. The overall programmatic elements remain the same, but we have a few small updates to share today. And we expect final design mid-year in 2022 and construction start late 2022. And Parks applied for an LWCF grant in coordination with CB11 for a comfort station at this site. So the North Lawn area has been reimagined. So on the left, you can see the preliminary design, which was shared with the community board in June. And on the right is the revised design for the North Lawn, which incorporates the cove. This added feature arose from a need to reach net zero cut fill on the project in order to meet New York State DEC mitigation requirements. So even for basic bulkhead reconstruction work where we're doing structural fill, we needed to get creative on finding some solutions to meet the DEC requirements for filling in the water. And so this created a design opportunity to make this new moment within the park for expanded views of the river. And here you can see a rendering that illustrates what the experience on the Esplanade will be incorporating this new cove feature into the design. The second project I'm here to present today is 107th Street Pier and East River Esplanade. This is just south of Manhattan Greenway, Harlem River, so from 94th to 107th and 118th to 124th, and includes the pier at 107th Street. We often call this the East River Esplanade, but this portion also has another name, which is the Bobby Wagner Walk. It's named for New York City Mayor Wagner's son, Bobby, who was a distinguished public servant in his own right. So you'll often see it called both, and we are calling it 107th Street Pier Bobby Wagner Walk. So this project will completely demolish, redesign, and rebuild the pier at 107th Street. It will repair and reconstruct the Esplanade from 94th Street to 107th Street and 118th to 124th Street, using park standard features, plantings, and trees. The project goals for this project include structurally repairing and rehabilitating the Esplanade, bringing it up to a state of good repair, and restoring public access, while also incorporating resiliency features, such as elevating for long-term sustainability. We also plan to enliven the waterfront by providing a high-quality designed open space and a range of community-supported uses within the reconstructed pier. The project total budget is $294 million, with $284 million of that being from city capital, as well as 2 state grants, $4.5 million from a DASNY grant, which was secured with a nomination letter from former Assemblymember Rodriguez, and $5.5 million from an Environmental Protection Fund grant from the New York State DEC. This project, we're currently selecting a designer. So there's a request for proposals has been released, and we're going through that process. The design will evaluate the Esplanade for sea level rise. It will work to build a stronger, more resilient Esplanade structure. And the design of that Esplanade structure will take the knowledge from the East Harlem Resiliency Study and incorporate that into this new design. And the pier will have a new public art piece, and the selection process for that will be similar to Manhattan Greenway Harlem River, with a selection committee comprised of community members, DCLA, Parks, and EDC. And an art consultant on the selected design team will do outreach to local and regional artists to determine who the call for proposals will go out to. We anticipate that design will start this spring and construction will start in fall of 2024. And we'll open it up to questions.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Please raise your hand through Zoom. Any question? Well, I do have a couple questions. I was trying to find my notes from the previous meeting. I'll go ahead, Connie Lee, and then I'll get to my question.
Thank you. Just a quick question on the artist selection committee. You mentioned there will be a art consultant. Have you selected who that is yet?
We have not. That artist consultant will be a part of the design team that we're in the process of selecting now.
Okay, and then the selection committee, will somebody from like the Friends of East River Esplanade, or someone very local be a part of that committee?
We will work to put that committee together once we have our design team on board. Catherine, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I'll say, I think we'll work with you guys, with the community board for creating the committee and look to the lessons learned from the Harlem River project.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. I was on the panelist committee for the Harlem River project.
Great.
And we thank you, Connie.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Connie. Before we go to questions from the public, Mary, one just follow up that we had from previous questions. I just wanted to make sure what's developed in terms of the Harlem Greenway Park, the future Richard Toussaint Park, in terms of lighting and fitness equipment and the comments that you heard from our committee the last time that this was presented. I know we had talked about how there potentially weren't enough barbecue stations, things like that. So the presentation was a little short on the Greenway link, so it would be good to just expand a little bit on what has been developed along the lines of the committee's requests.
Maybe I can start. Thanks, Jessica, for bringing that up. It has been, I guess, over half a year since we last were here. And in terms of items like barbecue stations, we have expanded the barbecue areas to fit more barbecues, as well as the neighboring picnic area. So there is more capacity. I don't think we have a close-up of it, but I think at some point we can come back with some more of those details, just with the blow-ups. Can you remind me the fitness? We do have the adult fitness under the Rfk Bridge. We have been working with DOT to make sure that there's sufficient lighting throughout the entirety of the waterfront. But if you could just remind us of if there were specific things, I can let you know how we've incorporated it.
I can't remember specifically what it was about the fitness equipments. I can't find my notes right now, but just in general, I think it was mostly about the lighting under the bridge, I believe. Connie, do you have something to add on that?
Yeah, I think I brought up the fitness equipment at that meeting. And just to reiterate, I was concerned that there wasn't enough equipment because the fitness programming in particularly that area of East Harlem from Marcus Garvey Park and over has it's grown so much. Marcus Garvey is accommodating a couple of hundred people a day working out, basically 12 months a year. So my concern is we certainly don't have enough room in Marcus Garvey or enough equipment. I just want to make sure there's enough equipment there to accommodate the need.
Yeah, I think we can, maybe what we should do is just bring the blow up of that adult fitness area. So you see what's now currently proposed as we've advanced the design. I do not remember all the equipment that we're proposing off the top of my head, but we have set aside a large area. And I think we can come back with some more information on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. Yes, and I think, we weren't sure what was going to be a part of this presentation specifically, but we would like you all to come back hopefully next month to give a more in-depth update on where the park stands and the updates on the design as it's coming to a close. Diane?
Yes, I have two questions of the team. I don't know if the rest of the committee has actually seen the actual RFP. It is rather lengthy, it's almost like a book. And so I asked the team that is here tonight to kind of give us an overview as what specifically criteria they're looking for, and have they made a selection as well? Or when will they make the selection?
Meredith, do you want me to take it or are you?
But
so I can jump in. So EDC puts out design RFPs for consultants on a somewhat regular basis. And the criteria for the consultants and the selection is the quality of the proposal. It's the technical means that how they will proceed with delivering the project. It's also their technical understanding of the full scope and of the work that's required for this project, for other projects, but it's the technical understanding of the scope. It's the quality of the consultant team, that they have experience in similar type of work and experience doing work like this in the city and with the city is part of it. And then there's also price is a factor in the proposal selection. It's a matrix kind of weighted scores. And then the last one is the MWBE participation. Our EDC's internal MWB team sets a goal for every contract that we have for the city, with the city, where we use city funds and for non-city fund projects. So they set that goal, and then the consultants are required to provide a narrative about how they will achieve the goal and also about other components of their company. And that is scored by our MWB team based on the goal that they say that they will achieve with their selection of consultants. So we also, in this one, we requested an engineering team lead because we do have such significant marine engineering infrastructure and civil work required. And then we also asked for a host of different sub-consultants and team members like landscape architects, and other environmental review consultants and folks that can do the work. We also asked for a community engagement criteria, scope of work from them. So when the selection team that's comprised of folks from EDC and Parks reviews the proposal, both the technical and the community engagement and their experience, it's scored. And then typically, not always, but typically there's kind of 2 rounds where we'll actually interview them and understand a bit more about how they anticipate doing the work. It's a process that follows city procurement rules and laws for hiring consultants and doing work with city money. I hope that answers your question. It was a bit long, but it is a big process, and the RFP is large.
It is.
A lot of it is kind of base backup contract, like our just typical standard contract, and then the Appendix B, I think if you did download it, the Appendix B is the scope of services, and that's the part that Meredith worked on and I worked on and Parks worked on to describe the scope of the project, and that we really look for them to respond to in regards to how they will then do the work. You also asked when we will select the consultant. We are hoping to have a consultant selected this spring, hoping March. But because we got a number of proposals, and since we kind of are currently in the reviewing of it, that's where we are. In reviewing those proposals. I hope that answered it.
Yes, Catherine, it was a big answer to a big book, a big RFP. All right, so you have closed the window at this point. No more, okay, because I know you extended it in January.
Yeah, we did receive the proposals and are in the process of reviewing them and evaluating them. Yep.
And you put a save in for yourself, Catherine, when you mentioned community engagement. I'm just letting you know that. If I didn't hear that, I would have asked you about it.
Good. I'm glad. We definitely we have learned. I think at EDC, I have learned throughout my projects at EDC. I've been working at EDC for 8 years. Different levels and different types of community engagement. We really look to our community partners to tell us what is needed. Obviously, some scopes of work are limited in funding and in kind of space, but there's always there's room for EDC and for Parks for us to learn and to make sure that the consultants are responding to you guys. So when we bring the consultant team later this year, after we've selected them, we will bring them with, the folks that will be kind of helping us lead the outreach with the community board, and not just with the board, of course. I mean, it's very important for us to come to the board, but it's also important for us to go to folks where they are, to find, to get to people so that they can get input and know that the project is happening. And even just awareness of the project sometimes is like the most important thing for folks.
Jessica, can I ask Angel a question, please? Just this
Of course.
last question.
Of course.
So, Angel, is this something George James can help the committee on, particularly that portion when it comes to the scope of work, so we kind of really understand what the scope of work is?
Sure.
Okay, so I'll put that request in.
Great idea, Diane. Thank you. And before we move on to the public questions, one quick question. If you could just refresh the committee's memory on the timeline and where we're at for the park, the Harlem Greenway Link Park.
So for the park, we're progressing our final design, and we hope to have final design mid-year this year, and we'll start construction hopefully end of this year, early next year.
Okay, Okay, great. Yep, it will be important then for us to get our last comments in before design is completed next month, if possible. Malik, you have a question? And Diane, your hand still raised. I'm not sure if it's an old hand. Thank you.
I'll defer to Diane if she has a question still.
She lowered it.
I lowered it.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I don't have the exact street numbers, but from what I remember, you stated that it would go from 94th or 91st or 71st, I forget the actual streets, up until 107th, and it will stop, and it will start again at 118th and go to 125th Street. Is those the correct streets, or what are the correct streets?
So it will go from 94th Street to 107th Street, including the pier, and then from 118th to 124th.
Now, my follow-up question is, from 118th, 107th and 18th, there aren't any capital funds for that section, which I feel like is decimated over there.
I can actually take that question. This is Grace from Parks. Actually, Meredith, could you go back to the slide? I think the first Pier 107. Yeah, there's like a little map. So yeah, you're right. There's two segments. The map on the left sort of shows the two segments in orange. And then you're right, there is a gap between approximately 107th and 118th. So we actually do, Parks has a project between 114th and 117th. It's being managed by our capital engineering group, and that's an Esplanade project, you know, to fix the structural Esplanade and some topside work. It's currently going through permits with Army Corps of Engineers. So we're essentially finished design on that, waiting for permits. And so once we get the permits, that'll go out to bid and into construction. And then as you can see, just a bit of context on the right, you know, we've got a lot of work all over the whole east side of Manhattan. And so it's a big Esplanade. You know, there's a lot of segments that need a lot of work. And so really we've been trying to prioritize projects according to the condition of the bulkhead and the Esplanade. So there are other projects ahead of that. So, you know, the then remaining part is 107th to I guess that'd be 14th. So you're correct, there isn't a capital project at the moment right now, but it's certainly on our list of projects to do in the future once funding becomes available. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Debbie?
Good evening, everyone. I apologize for coming on late. I just have one statement, and it's just basically like all these projects, the total so much money, and there's not one bathroom. It just blows my mind that so much work and so many graphs and so many conversations, and there's not one bathroom. Like you're saying, from 94th Street all the way up. I just want to go on record that I find this absolutely mind-blowing, and just it just doesn't make any sense, you know, because when you go to the west side and you go to the parks over there, you know, there's, I guess, public health and the public design, there's just this thing that doesn't jive, because, you know, if you go on the west side, you can hit a bathroom every, you know, I don't know. And I think that moving forward, that moving forward, that this be considered a public health emergency in your planning. Because when you talk about disparities and you talk about social justice and you talk about access to, services, it doesn't make no damn sense. And I just want to be clear that it's almost, architectural racism. I mean, structural racism that is just clearly concerning. And I just want to go on record saying that.
Thank you so much, Debbie. And this committee has been very active about noting the concerns for bathrooms all along the entire East River Esplanade. So we all share Debbie's concern. Are there any plans or thoughts on bathrooms along these projects?
Yeah, hi, this is Sarah. So yeah, we definitely, we remember, there's a really robust discussion of that topic at the June meeting last year. And we definitely heard you loud and clear. Subsequent to that, we have pursued the federal grant that the board was advocating that we do. And so we followed through on that. It was submitted last summer. We did pass the first kind of tier. So now it's like with the federal level. So we'll see how that one plays out. In the meantime, we've also been advocating for funds for that comfort station at 127th Street with others. There's a lot of new electeds coming in and various opportunities popping up, and we've been trying to get it in front of as many people as we can in the meantime. I also understand that I think as part of the project, the other project we're talking about tonight in the vicinity of 107th Street Pier, I think that we're going to ask the consultant team to look at what's possible there from the standpoint of the water and sewer connections that would be needed for a bathroom along that stretch. So it's not something that's we can promise, but I think it's, if Catherine and Meredith are okay with me mentioning that, it's something that we want to look at to see if accommodating that wouldn't then break through the rest of the budget. I think we covered this last summer, but I think the issue is bringing those utilities all the way to the waterfront is really, really costly. But it's very much on our mind. We're advocating as best we can. And also, this is not in your district, but there's another project further south on the waterfront that we are also trying to get some bathrooms built into a project at 60th Street as well. So we're definitely doing the best we can to work on the overall East Side bathroom issue. So I know it's slow going and not as fast as you'd like, but it's very much on our mind. So thanks for keeping our feet to the fire on that one.
Thank you. Thank you, Debbie. And I think it'll only add to Debbie's argument if bathrooms added lower in Manhattan and not in our neighborhood. But we appreciate you submitting that grant with us. That was a really big push, and we're grateful for you helping us get that over the line, and hopeful that we can get the bathroom at the park, but continue to look for ways we can help to get bathrooms elsewhere along the Esplanade in our district. Thank you, Sarah.
And just to clarify, that 60th one isn't funded. I'm just saying we're advocating as best we can everywhere. So it's just a hard problem to solve. So.
Understand. All right. There are no more questions from the board, so we'll move on to the public. Mary Nell, and then Jennifer, and then Lewis. Mary, you're on mute.
Okay. So the first thing I wanted to say is that it's great to see EDC face to face and many of our friends from Parks face to face. East River crew has at last count 8 people who were in the dark in our audience who were kind enough to wait until we did our presentation to kind of add in. And I want to ask everybody from EDC and Parks whether you might please stay and watch our presentation also, because I know people are busy and stuff like that, and you feel that you know a lot of what we have to say. But I think our presentation will be both informative and inspiring, and will give you a clear picture of what we really need to get done to have meaningful waterfront access to complete or continue what we've doing already for 20 years. So I'll leave it at that, and you know, begging EDC and Parks to stick around if you can and see what we have to say. That's all.
Thank you, Mary Nell. And they're up next on the agenda just for EDC and Parks to know. Jennifer?
So I have a lot to say, so cut me off if I keep going, because, and I'll start, and it kind of goes on the spectrum from like thrilled to unthrilled. So on the thrilled part, just tagging onto what Mary Nell said, I'm just going to put in a huge plug for East River Crew, our partners on the waterfront. You know, as a lifelong, extremely jaded New Yorker, going on an East River Crew boat trip, which it really was, is one of the best things I've ever done in New York City, from any museum, from anything. So whatever can be done to keep them on our waterfront, they are an amazing, unbelievable community asset, and to not stay and listen to how they're experts on the waterfront in this area. So just that plug for that. We're thrilled, obviously, that EDC is taking the lead on this project. There's now, in my mind, a glimmer of hope that East Harlem will have the waterfront it deserves to surprise, delight, and you know, revitalize the waterfront for this community, and that it might even happen in my lifetime. And so I am, you know, thrilled on that front. So thank you, EDC, for taking the lead on this. I've been gunning for you to come to the rescue here. So this is really, really exciting. I am extremely concerned about the kind of, I'm going to use like an old fashioned word my mother used, which is ungapachnik way that this is going to be done. I didn't even realize that 107th to 114th was going to be nothing done to it. So it's going to be very, very hodgepodge, and that's you know, somewhat disturbing. And the 114th to 117th, which has been closed off for years, I hope, we've been hearing that it's going to be repaired now for almost 8 years now, and I hope that gets repaired. I hope things like our bait station stay intact and get replicated up and down the waterfront, because that was something that came straight from the community, from the fishermen that asked us to put a bait station there. And another thing, the very first day we started this organization, the fishermen came to us and showed us how they literally urinate in their fishing buckets, because there is no place for them to go to the bathroom when they were out on the waterfront. That was the very first day when I took a walk with a former elected official along the waterfront. So to come this far is amazing in this, but to come this far and not have a bathroom and not have, from what I understand, water is just crazy. It was, water lines were dragged across down in the other area that we're the conservancy for in the East 60s. Our public-private partners in the hospitals were able to do it. So I really think it should be a priority, because without water, you can't have the comfort station, and you can't, and actually sewage, and you can't have concessions, which is another thing that's up and down on the west side to surprise and delight people. We're not talking about big restaurants. We're talking about basics, water, ice cream, things that kids love, whatever it might be. So just putting in that those sort of real basics, along with the running, walking, biking paths, should really be strongly considered, whatever can be done to get them in. So that's where I stand. We're really thrilled that EDC has joined Parks in this project, and that's it. So
thank you, Jennifer.
Looking forward to hearing more.
All right, we'll go to Louis.
Good evening. Yeah, just a couple of things, concur with everybody else has said. Access to a bathroom, especially from the Esplanade to the nearest bathroom, is going to be a challenge for anybody. Also thinking about accessibility is one thing, but my main concern is, because of these projects going on, you already have traffic in the area. So you'll have construction trucks and all of that, the impacts on the community from an environmental standpoint of all of this truck. you know, what is going to be done to make sure that that's not an issue? Because we're talking about a long stretch, we're talking about traffic, when people get off the FDR and use the other streets, but then also trucks going in and out, doing what they have to do to get these projects done. So from an environmental standpoint, I'm concerned that making sure that the area is not further polluted from where it already is at its current point.
Sarah, do you want me to respond a little on that in regards to the?
I think it'd be great. Yeah, thanks, Catherine.
Okay. I can speak and I can speak to other projects on the waterfront and the anticipated analysis that'll happen for 107th Street and the East River Esplanade section. Like any project, we have to go through an environmental review. Our consultants will be required to analyze kind of a level of truck traffic and the neighborhood context, the neighborhood that's there and any impacts to that. So we'll that analysis will happen. We'll definitely we'll share that with you guys. The other side is that we are very much on the water. The project in the down in East Midtown and other projects, a lot of our waterfront and marine contractors can bring a lot of work in by water. There are things that are much more expensive to do by water than by land. And then there are things that are the opposite. So we'll work with our construction managers to really build this project the best way that we can in relation to both the impact to the inland traffic and the inland community and the costs of the project, obviously. But you know, we will look to our waterways to safely bring material and goods to do the work, and also evaluate the impacts for some materials that is very difficult to bring by the water. I can't speak to the Harlem River, but I know that, you know, since that one is planned to be in construction sooner than 107th and this Esplanade project, but that's where we are on here.
And just to add to that, it only takes one backup on the FDR for that traffic to spill over, and then you'll have a real set of issues. And that happens every day on the FDR. So just want to make sure that they build that portion into it to contingency plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. Thank you, Catherine. And we have one more question before we move on to the next presentation. Mikhail Harvey from the public. Feel free to unmute yourself, Mikhail.
Oh, sorry. I actually started talking and I didn't realize I was muted. I apologize. Hi, I'm Mikhail Harvey. I'm actually from Jersey City, but I just came because I like learning about the stuff and hearing about it. I'm curious with the Greenway, what type of like native, have you taken into consideration the type of like native flora or planting possible like native trees there and other forms of enrichment to like engage the community more about when it's done so they're more excited, like it's something to learn about, or is that something that you leave to the consultants? And I have a second question after this, but that's the first one.
Maybe Catherine or Alda or Meredith or Alda, can you just speak a little bit to the planting palette and sort of approach there?
I don't think we have the planting species slides, but I would say generally, you know, as part of all of Parks's work, you know, we do have best practices and guidelines for using native species. And, you know, on top of that, I think we're learning a lot. We have learned a lot through the 2017 design guidelines that Parks released about parks in the flood zone, as well as our East Harlem resiliency study, which this board is familiar with, what types of species we need to be thinking about along a marine environment where there's a lot of salt. So I don't know, maybe Ricardo, who is also with Parks, may be able to speak a little bit more about the plants in detail, but definitely in terms of guidelines and best practices, that is baked into every single one of our Parks projects, whether it's with EDC or whether it's led by Parks Capital.
Yeah, and also, have you thought of like having like local, I guess, planters or horticultural people to donate like some of these species, because people enjoy helping in terms of improving the community, so that would be a way to engage them as well. I think that'd be a great idea for like the future, because I don't know, people enjoy helping the community or improvement
Mikhail, you're in a meeting with all kinds of community groups that are on the call with us. Jennifer Ratner, who was just speaking about various projects, and I think Randall's Island group, they also do all kinds of volunteer planting and events. So I think there'd be a lot of ways to get engaged working with them. It's a little harder for us to do donations of stuff because we usually need pretty large volumes for the areas that we have and the right kind of time of year and all that, but all kinds of ways to engage and get involved. You know, I would encourage that you reach out either to Jessica or to one of us, and we can help you find like a good group that organizes some of those activities around the city.
Hi, everybody. This is Ricardo Hinkle speaking, landscape architect at Parks. And I just wanted to reiterate what all just said about the plantings. They will be primarily native. We're trying to do native plantings as much as possible, but and we're going to be planting shade trees, understory trees, flowering trees, shrubs, ground covers, grasses, and perennials. And we're going to be using species that have shown to be very durable along the shoreline, that are drought tolerant, salt tolerant, spray tolerant, and inundation tolerant, especially in those areas that we expect to be inundated. So we can share a more detailed plant palette with you, but those are the species, types of plants that we're pursuing in this design.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, Mikhail. And thank you to everyone who asked questions. Thank you to EDC and Parks for all the work that you do, and for bearing with us with our concerns and listening. I know you are listening, and we appreciate you and all the work that you do. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
we look
having
forward
us.
to coming back.
And then up next, we have East River Crew. So if y'all can stick around for just a little while longer, I think that they have some important things to bring up about the work that they've been doing in the community for many, many years.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tori Gilbert, and I'm the last person on the board who's the original founder, but have worked with many years with Mary Nell, who you heard speak earlier so eloquently, about how much we appreciate you all hanging out and sticking around to see what we have to share. So I hope you all can see my screen. Yes? Wonderful. So this is a presentation we've made specifically for you all, but we will make it available to anybody who's in the community group who would like to have access to it. It'll be available on our Facebook page as well after this meeting. So thank you. And if you have any additional questions or follow-up that you don't have time to ask tonight or would like to get involved with us, please reach out. We're happy to have everybody.
Tori, could you please go into full screen so we just people
Right.
can see better? Thank you so much.
Is that better? Let me close this up. Okay, so we were founded in 1999. It was actually a result of a grant that my school got to build a wooden historic boat. It's called a Whitehall Gig, which is a traditional pattern for taxi boats in New York City. And we wanted to make it possible for children and families and other people to access onto the water in the Upper East and Harlem side of the city. There are many of these boats in the Lower West side, but nothing up in this part of the neighborhood. And that was the point of starting rowing programs here. We believe that the more connected you are to your outdoor areas, the more likely you are to care for them. And one of the ways we help people get connected is by getting them out onto the water. As Jennifer so kindly mentioned, it can be an out of this world experience. So we've been providing free rowing all through volunteer efforts since 2006. And this is a carbon-free program. We would like to continue this program following the Esplanade renovations. And that's what our presentation is really about tonight, to help you see what it is we're talking about, what we're doing, in case you haven't. So for those of you who aren't familiar with where we are, this is a little schematic map, the FDR, here's 96th Street. And then on this little jut out of land, I just moved our slide, sorry. Let me fix the map because I think I just hit it and moved it. So you can see better. There. So you can see this little part that juts out here is literally how we run all of our programming. People are safely getting on life vests in this sort of half moon circle area while they're waiting their turn to go out in the boats. In the summer times, we will have people regularly lined up to go, very patiently waiting their turn, or maybe they're taking a bike ride and they'll come back and see where their name is on the list to go out. This little arm that looks like a tiny little sliver here is a davit, which you'll see in better detail in a moment. So our request is really to have your support for rebuilding this boat launch to its present configuration. We're not familiar with exactly what's going to happen with the plans that EDC is doing, and we're really worried that somehow we won't be able to re-exist and rebuild the existing waterside railing gate that we have that opens on, that was custom made by the vocational tech school in the neighborhood. And we would like to ask for a letter from CB11. I know that we didn't put this in the original ask for this presentation, but we are asking now, we're happy to amend it, that anything we could do to get a letter of support so that Army Corps of Engineers can continue to ensure that we have that little platform area. And we believe that we're enough of a valuable resource to be considered in that way. Here's what the davit, which is that hoist, that boat hoist, looks like. And you may have gone right by it and had no idea what it was, but it's literally just an arm that sticks out on one side at the Esplanade, lifts the boat up, and then we swing it around, and then it drops the boat down into the water the way you see here. And we can do that all in about 15 minutes. We don't spend very much time with the boats on the Esplanade because we don't want to make it difficult for anybody to go by, but it's usually such an exciting activity that people would like to stop and see what's going on. Here's some other pictures that show you. You can see in this one as well that the gate is actually literally part of the railing. And so when it's closed, you can barely notice that it's a gate at all. So it's very much a part of our activities. You'll notice also that anytime we're on this side, the water side of the railing, everybody has a life jacket on. That's one of our big rules, and we make sure to follow it. We get the boats to and from 96th Street launch point on something called a dolly, which is essentially this stick of wood on 2 wheels. And you can take a 400-pound boat and one person can push it. I've done it myself several times, and easily over to 96th Street launch point from the Stanley Isaacs Park, where we have our container that Parks has so kindly let us have for the last few years. Here again is a more close-up view of the gate. It actually has a name in honor of one of our rowers that we wanted to memorialize. And as you can see here in the fisheye view, it's fairly easy to open, and we keep it locked when we're not there, so that it's always, and monitored. You can just see here too also our ladder installation. And for those of you that are engineers or not, you might be interested to know that it was actually a ladder that we invented. Necessity was the mother of invention. Parks didn't want to have a standing ladder there all the time. And we thought it was safer to have some kind of ladder. So if somebody fell in the water, they could always get out, which with seawalls is not usually the case. And so we ended up having a ladder that was cut in half of which we kept the top half in our container when we were not there to supervise. And the lower half is always in the water so that anybody that falls in can actually grab hold of it and hold on to something until help arrives. And we're happy to share that design with other groups along the way. Oops, sorry. Okay, so here's some more passers-by. So you can see it's very easy to get by our area. Lots of people, here's a little view of the boat. We do it all with grassroots. We're all volunteer. Everybody, Mary Nell has given up half her life to this, showing up every Tuesday when we offer the rowing, to make sure that we were a continual presence, and a whole group of volunteers that's here tonight as well. I can mention all their names, but Karen and Rocky and Linda and a whole bunch of people that we rely on to really keep it going. So thank you to all of you for over the years making this possible for all New Yorkers. We fundraise every year, even the years when we haven't been on the water, we've been fundraising to cover boat maintenance and equipment. So here's our actual contributions to the life of the park and the life of New York City. The boat hoist, the davit, we bought ourselves, and it's our property. If for any reason it needs to be removed because of the infrastructure changes you're making, we will be happy to take it out. Please give us a little bit of notice so we can get the right people to help us with that job, but we will take care of it. We will take it out of there, and we will make sure that we replace it with a ladder at our own expense when we're done. And again, with that gate and with the ladder, we're happy to share the design so it could be duplicated in other locations. We would love this not to be the only put-in point anywhere along the east side. So we're happy to talk to other groups. Those of you who might be interested in the history of rowing, there's all kinds of great stories, but we beat the English at their own game. in the Battle of the American Star, and that's another great story. I'll leave you these pictures just so you know that this is something that's been part of New York City's history for a long time. Here are some of the other organizations and partners that we have in these efforts. You may have heard of Rocking the Boat that does something similar in the Bronx. Village Community Boathouse is the one on the Lower West Side that I mentioned earlier. River Keepers, Floating the Apples, the original group we came from. Waterfront Alliance is a wonderful group, and the Harbor and Estuary program, all part of our plan to expand these opportunities to everybody in New York City area. And then finally, just some fun pictures and the cover of our East River Estuary Guide for those of you that are connected to educators and to the youth. This is a free publication. We have it now available in Spanish and in English. The same text, it just flips over and it has both. And these drawings were done with interns and youth from the Vera Institute one summer, as well as with students in my school. So it's a fun little read, and it'll tell you a lot about the estuary, maybe things you never knew. But if there's any questions, I'll leave this up for a moment, but we can also put it into the chat and links for our information. And I'll just go back to that in case there's any questions.
Thank you, Tori. And just to clarify for my minutes, you have boat launches every Tuesday at what time?
Well, since 2019, when we closed down, we haven't had them, but typically our day was Tuesdays from 4:30 till dark. And that changes obviously as, you know, we go from April to October. We want the water temperature and the air temperature to be 100 degrees or more to avoid hypothermia. So it depends on the climate.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the board? Just raise your hand.
Oh, can I add just one more thing?
Yes.
I want to just, you may have noticed that was a little cove is where we rode out of. That's a particularly important site for us because we take people who are completely new to the river and to the currents in the river. And that's the place where they actually slacken. It's like, think of your finger over a thumb of a hose. And if you squeeze the hose opening, it comes out harder and faster. That's what the other side of the East River is like, Hell's Gate. Our side is where it slackens. It's essentially you taking your finger off the top of the hose, and the current is 1 knot as opposed to 5 knots. So it's a significant difference, and it's an important area to teach novices how to row.
Thank you for that clarification. Michelle?
Hi, this is not a question. This is more so a suggestion for board. Last summer, we went around the different parks. I think it would also be a nice inclusion to add this particular project to one of our outings. Just a suggestion.
I agree. Thank you, Michelle. Great suggestion. Yeah, we did those park tours on a weekend, so I'm not. Oh, Marianelle, if you're trying to talk, you're muted. You're still muted, Marianelle. I'm sorry.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay. So, yeah, it would be hard. We would love to be able to demonstrate what we do, but we have that chain link fence now. We're not allowed on the other side of it. And it's a crying shame. And I also want to thank all of the East River crew people who are here tonight. And that is Lourdes, Mike Nichols, Philip E., Nancy Tung, Ted Gruber, Friends of the East River Esplanade, Richard, Karen Peckel, Rocky Russell, Sarah Lowengard, and you know, they've been very patient. And I know that Nancy Tung has a very short, interesting story about one of her experiences. And I would like to give her a moment or two to share that, since our group was very kind not to bombard questions in the beginning of the presentation.
Of course, Marianelle.
The other group. Okay.
Nancy?
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick example of our carbon neutral rowing. And again, just to reiterate that we have not been able to row for 3 years because of the collapse of the path along the East River. So that's why we're not currently rowing. It used to be Tuesday evenings. But one fun example was I wanted to get a chair over at IKEA. So we actually rowed over to IKEA, pulled in onto a beach over there. I went in, got a kitchen chair, it was in a box. 2 of our rowers couldn't row back because they were busy they were off doing something in Brooklyn. So 2 other people walked up to our boat on the beach and asked if they could row back. So we came back and I got my chair and put it up in my kitchen. So that's just a fun story of the things that we do with our boat club.
Thank you, Nancy. And thank you, Mary Nell and Tori. I think I'm just going to ask you if there are any questions from the board members. If you could raise your hands. And you all are asking for a letter of support, which we know our policy has been since this year to vote at the next meeting so that we have a month to sort of mull over any questions or concerns that we have. Are there any time constraints on the letter of support that you have other than the projects moving forward at DPR and EDC?
Well, I guess we could say that our time constraint is EDC, because if we want to be included and our, I call it platform, be saved, you know, we have to get that off the pencil and onto the drawing board.
Understood. All right, well, I don't see any questions from the board, but I do see a question from Louis Kleinman.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Liz.
I have worked with East River Crew, and I can recommend them oh so highly as to what they do. A few years prior to COVID, I was part of a survey that we did in conjunction with the Waterfront Alliance and the Harbor Estuary program. And we took a number after a survey of over 100,000 different participants in human-powered boating in our waterways. It's a very, very popular activities. And my question to Tori and to the rest of the crew is, how many approximately people do you get out with your boats during the course of a season?
Oh my gosh, I knew someone was going to ask that. And we have been much better rowers than accountants. And we've started to make an equation. If we have 20 years and we row from mid-April to mid-October, and we row 2 days a week, and we have 5 to 7, possibly 8 people on each boat, and you have to subtract a little bit, but not too much for foul weather. What short of getting out the archive boxes and figuring all that stuff out would we be able to answer Louis' question? If anybody would like a job.
I can give you a ballpark number, because what's really interesting is that our repeat rowers are mostly our volunteers. Because we're such a novelty and a surprise and delight, as Jennifer so quickly says, on the Esplanade, a lot of our rowers are new people every single time. So in a season from April to October, we may get 200 people. Obviously in July, when it's warmer and it's lighter longer, we can take more crews out. We will rotate through easily 20, 30 people in one evening. You know, there are 4 rowers and 1 coxswain. So every boat that goes out, it's at least 5 people. Don't count the little people that might sit next to an adult. Don't count the skinny adults that might have another skinny adult next to them. But you can certainly get a ballpark figure of 200 and plus per season.
Yeah, thank you, guys. And I just want to add one other thing. And Ted Gruber had a note in that I don't think he's going to ask about it, which is it's a shame that over on the East River and the Harlem River, there is no public access directly for any boathouses or whatever. And in the course of rebuilding the Esplanade, we would certainly hope that there might be found some room to be able to get human power boaters available to the water itself.
Thank you, Louis. Are there any other questions? Philip E.
Hi, everybody. I'm Philip E. I basically have run the Village Community Boathouse and its predecessor, Floating the Apples, down at Pier 40. And I just want to say that this is the last frontier, okay? You expand the boundaries of the park out into the river by getting people out on the boat. And when you go out there, it's like you left the city, okay? And to Lewis's comment, where most of the boating happened in the 1800s and up to maybe like 1920s or 1930s with the boats were on the Harlem River. And, you know, this is a valuable resource to any community. And I hope the EDC could fast track the portion and put the slab back in their design if it's not already in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. All right, just one last call for the community board members, the committee members. If you have any questions to mull over as before we vote next month, unless you have everything that you need to make a decision. Just wanted to double check.
This is Rocky Russell. I just want to add
Hold
one
on,
more
and
thing.
I'll recognize you. So sorry. Any questions from the board?
Oh,
All right.
Presentation, so you have it if you need it.
Thank you. All right, Rocky, this will be our last question. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm with the East River Crew. I just want to add one thing, that this boat is historic, like what Phil was saying, and it's originally also used for what George Washington was evacuating from Brooklyn. So there's a heritage component also. And we built this, these are hand-built boats. And so we want to continue this heritage on the East River for much longer. And so this is something that we are very keen on ensuring it happens.
Thank you, Rocky.
Thank you, Rocky. All right. Thank you very much, Mary Nell, Tori, and everyone here from East River Crew. Really appreciate you being here. Michelle, do you have a question?
I just want to make sure. So the letter of support that they're asking for is for the inclusion of not only a platform, but of also accessibility in order to get to the platform. Is that correct?
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, I can give you some draft some language if you need it. And Michelle, if you'd like to get on a boat just like ours, Phil Yee's your man downtown. He'll take you out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and Tori and Mary Nell, if you could just send us an updated version reflecting the changes that you made to your request, that would be great.
Terrific, we'll do.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Parks and EDC, for staying on. We appreciate you.
You're
Very
welcome. Glad to see it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
All right, our next presentation is about urban policy work and research conducted. In case anyone's willing to stay on, this is tangential and highly important as well in terms of our neighborhood compared to other neighborhoods. And I think probably the presenter can explain it better, but we'll move on to that. But I think it's all related and very good stuff. I think.
I'm not seeing him on the list, Jessica. It's
Oh no.
Fernando Torrado.
Yeah.
No, I'm not seeing him on the list.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to revisit it hopefully next month. I was really looking forward to this. It's a comparative study of our some issues of environmental justice and health in our community on the waterfront and compared to others. So hopefully we can bring them back next month. We'll move on to our review of the preliminary budget.
We have not received that yet.
Oh, thank God. Just kidding. All right, so that'll be on our agenda for next month as well. We would have normally received it by now, but okay. So then the last thing for presentations and discussions before moving on to our one item of old business is the goals and accomplishments. I had sent everyone, and so sorry everyone, I've been incredibly busy with work. I should have sent this out many weeks ago, but I did send a Google document similar to the one that Elsie had created for the Land Use, Landmarks and Planning Committee. I think I will just go ahead and share that, Angel, if that's okay. I don't have it up, so give me 1 second. Oh, wow, so many people contributed since last time I looked. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, here we go. All right, can everyone see my screen? Yes?
Yeah, no, it just says that you're about to share, but it's not showing.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Thank you, Angel. All right. So we have two tabs here. Not sure if everyone saw the second tab. But the first one is
Hey,
for
can you make it a
goals.
little bit bigger? Because
Yes.
even with my glasses, this is not working.
Okay, let me see what I can do here. Zoom. Is that better?
Okay, you're just gonna see the top of my head right now.
Jessica, if you
You also have access to this document.
yeah, under edit, where it says 100%, you can just click there and select the higher percentage and it'll make it bigger.
Okay, yeah, I'm at 150, I guess, if I go much further.
Oh, because it's not rendering that way.
Okay, this is the best I can do.
No problem.
Okay. So, you know,
awesome.
We can just go through these and add additional ones together. This bothers me because I can't see everything. I'm just gonna go, okay. So I followed Elsie's lead with a goal per member, what the action is needed to achieve that goal, and then the desired outcome. So the one that I put in was improved alignment with and communication with electeds and city agencies. And I think we can accomplish that through a roundtable discussion and catalyzing all of these reports for environmental justice and other things that have been researched for to push forward our advocacy on things we've already been advocating for. And the goal, the outcome would be sustained equitable investment in our neighborhood from all the environmental justice issues that we have heard about today and will continue to hear about. And Angel, correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a year since I've done this the last time, but should we be voting on our top 3 goals or?
Yes.
Great, thank you. All right, so we will have to narrow this down to 3. So if you haven't already, please check your email for this that I sent to you, I think on Monday. And you can jump in and add your own thoughts now, but Diane, are you on and able to discuss your 2 suggestions, or do you want me to read through them?
I think I can see them. This isn't anything that I haven't said before, Jessica, to you, that there needs to be more input and participation from above 116th Street, particularly as it relates to the parks that are in the area. And I perhaps in doing that, whether it's a roundtable, whether it's an information session, we have to engage many of these northern tenant associations and perhaps even CBOs to get involved, because it is their park and I hear it on the street and I hear it at other meetings where they feel that there's not enough attention being paid to the parks. An example being the Ron McNair Park on 123rd Street. I recently was in a Zoom meeting and they were complaining about the needles in the park. However, when I was speaking to Russell about it, Russell Schuler, who was on this call as well, he was out and about, so he did pass by that particular park, and he said, he sent me pictures, and Russell, it looked clean. I don't know what happened. Maybe they complained and somebody came through. But I just think we need to do a better job of reaching out to, because there are many parks above 116th Street.
Yes.
Beyond Marcus Garvey. And even
So
Marcus
true.
Garvey has their own issues.
Yeah.
What was the other thing I put down there? What's the other thing I put? I can't see
Information
now.
sessions regarding environmental justice means an
Oh,
explanation of
yes.
sustainable terms.
Yes. I'll be honest with you, Jessica. Half the time the people don't know what we're talking about.
It's true.
Yes. I don't know how you're gonna do this, but when you start talking climate change, sustainability, the regular Joe doesn't understand that. What does that mean to them personally? And I think we would get better input coming from the community if they understood it and understood what that means, not just to them, but to their future generations. So again, information webinars, just bringing them in so they can understand what we really do. It's not just about fixing the parks and doing those issues and putting art in the park. It is about preparing the community for to be sustainable long after we're no longer here. So that's pretty much my
Thank
idea.
you, Diane. Great additions here. Debbie, did you
I
have
could-
something to add to that, or?
Yeah, I would like to, in terms of information webinars, maybe there's I don't know. Information webinars should be accompanied by like a social media piece that is tied to the community board website or whatever. Is also that information should be exported into like elected officials web pages as well. So that then it's not about giving up credit, but it's about showing collaboration. Because it's like, oh, an information webinar, whatever. But it's more about like information webinar for community input. I don't know. We'd have to spin this in a way that hits everyone and piques their interest. So maybe even to like include some kind of like scavenger hunt type of thing where it's like, do you know? And then you can add, the week later what it is or something like that, or put craft something that's uniquely engaging that goes beyond. So.
Thank you for that comment. Diana, I just want to make sure you said everything you were going to say about this.
One, I agree with you, Debbie, and you know just as well as I know, it's difficult to engage the community, but something like this, they need to understand what that actually means for them, and particularly the youth. Maybe we should target it to the youth, and that's something to think about, Jessica, over time, because we have to engage them as much as possible. It is their future at the end of the day, if they choose to stay in East Harlem. And I forgot what I was going to add, Jessica.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I think everyone has talked about this. It's really the advocacy for bathrooms in these parks that they're putting in for us. And I don't know if we want to make that as part of a resolution, but we clearly need to state it emphatically that nothing that is being added in our community as a green space, it should always include some type of facility for a bathroom or a comfort station, as they call it.
There's a group on Staten Island that I'm involved with that they did it's called Landfill Fashionista, where they did a fashion show from recyclable things, but they also raised awareness through interviews where the young person was standing in a brownfield and then took those items and then made it into something. So, and then what happened was that Landfill Fashionista became like the tag. So, maybe we could do something about resiliency reality or something like that, like the nuts and bolts of it, and what does it really mean?
Okay. Well, we'll move on to Michelle. I know. You're so funny. I see your hand up, Jennifer. We have to get through the committee stuff first, and then I'll get to you. I'm so sorry. Michelle, do you want to talk about your goal?
Yes, I kept writing it, and every time I would write it, it would just disappear. So what is actually there is just one of my ideas. And it was to ultimately to have a pilot program where we have a whole bunch. I know that we would need comfort stations because of the water, but to have the water fountains that are all over our parks and to have them working much like the idea of sprung up with Randall's Island and how they have water filters in their water fountains, in their drinking water fountains, and how we can have it where, look, Harlem is a area that is trying to promote healthy drinking water. Come to Harlem, use your water bottle. It's free water, free healthy water, free healthy New York water that it's already protected, and it is a good resource. Having that as a standout point for Harlem, where city officials can say, yes, we don't want people to be drinking all of these sugary drinks. We want all of the drinking water fountains to be up and working with filters, with the added, I forget what it's called, it's so that you can, the attachment for filling up water bottles. I don't know if there's a specific word for it.
The bottle fillers.
There must be some word.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. And have it where can you find an app or a part of the map, and these are the water fountains, these are the places where the water fountains are, so that you know, okay, I walk these many blocks in this directions and I can fill up my bottle.
Yeah. No, that's great. And then can you talk about the outcomes a little bit?
The outcomes, I think, it would be promoted within Harlem, but the outcome would be, it would be beneficial for the entire city. It would promote less waste, plastic bottle waste within our community, which we do want to severely reduce the amount of waste that's in our area. It would also be something that would be I think such a great pilot program that the rest of the city would also want to get on board with it. An example has been also in France. They have this throughout their city, and it has worked very well. So if they want to see, oh, how could it work? How could it possibly work? Here's a project that's already worked. The other thing that I couldn't put down because it just kept disappearing every time I would write it. That's why you see that big empty spot there. I went to something and everything I wrote disappeared.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The other thing would be to have places to sit. Open spaces are not just in parks. Open spaces are beside trees, or there's having the places where people can sit down and eat, I think has helped our area so much more, making it just seem more homey, more inviting, to have more areas where we could just sit and talk and conversate, I think would really help our area improve, and drink water.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. And Connie, you have two here. Do you want to walk through them quickly or?
Sure. I apologize. I was writing these in like 30 seconds or less, trying to
No
get
problem.
something. So may lack eloquency. I actually, listening to Michelle in particular speaking, I think that when I was saying develop narrative responses, you know, like the water filling stations could be incorporated into those a list of items that we want in every park and at every occasion. And I was saying that the Parks Committee could actually create a list of these priority items. On one hand, when we're having these discussions with, you know, various people from the Parks Department who are involved in the design process and have you know, some sort of understanding about the logistics of adding the things that we actually need. You know, if we just keep reiterating it and we're consistent and we have our list of priorities, I mean, I think that's already happening, that they will be responsive. The problem is that, you know, they can always go back to well, we're trying to raise money, we're writing grants, we're doing this, it's not in the budget. These items need to be the priority items that are in the budget before the budget is created, before the design is created. Coming in after the presentation is a, you know, sort of a uphill climb. And, you know, in the end, what we have is community input and input from this committee on the designs before their design decisions are already made. Because this really is an uphill battle when we're trying to change existing designs that were created with little or no input from the community. It's really sort of a process of inviting the community to participate, but they're really being fed what they want to do. If I fill out one more survey, I'm going to scream. And the other thing I thought could be really helpful is the East Harlem District 11 has very few park advocacy groups in existence. And the ones that are in existence really have just a few people involved. There's a model of the 4 historic Harlem parks have for the past 25 years, they have a coalition. I'd like to see us maybe start to develop something like that for all of the District 11 parks, which would be a coalition of community stakeholders, tremendous amount of outreach on our part to find out who those people are. And rather than, you know, advocating for one park or one item at a time, we're really advocating district-wide and working as a cohesive unit throughout the entire district, because it's a very large district geographically, just in length, but also the amount of tiny little playgrounds and parks that are all over the place that most people don't even know they're there. And yeah, and just create a broad coalition.
Great.
And also what Michelle was saying, it's more about public space, not just about parks. The item she brought up about seating, I mean, that's an ongoing issue in parks throughout Northern Manhattan. Parks keeps removing seating rather than putting seating in. So this should be on our list of items that we are always requesting from the Parks Department. And every design they present to us, before they present a design, seating has to be in there. We are not a community that's getting younger, we're a community that's getting older, and people need to sit down.
Thank you, Connie. Before I go to you, Debbie, I just want to ask anyone who has yet to add anything to this spreadsheet, anyone on the committee tonight, do you have any suggestions for additional goals or any thoughts on the goals so far? Okay, we'll keep thinking about it. I'd like everyone to contribute. And even if you don't want to come up with a new goal, we're going to need everyone's help in coordinating to determine what the top 3 are. So we'll go to Debbie, and then we'll move into either adding any additional or.
Yeah, thank you so much. What I'm thinking, you know, this exercise is supposed to determine the goals for the committee for 2022. And that requires a broad vision. So what I'm going to propose is that the committee engage in an annual coordination of a conference or a green gathering, where then all these groups can come together and then they can sign on to this particular concept that Connie is talking about, that it's an annual opportunity to bring people together, so that this committee is responsible for the coordinating and networking of all green warriors, advocates, to come together and look at comprehensive planning, guidelines, principles, whatever, so that then that can be the database that we can build on. Because what comes to mind for me is, from my experience on the board, is that particularly with the Parks Committee, was that the Parks Committee folks didn't talk to the gardening folks, the garden folks didn't talk to the Green Thumb folks, the Green Thumb folks didn't talk to, so I think that if we were to commit to have this committee take responsibility for an annual coordinating conference, that then can have panels, plenaries, and you can have it at Mount Sinai Hospital in the Annenberg, which is a really nice theater space, and then put up, and then make it clear that this committee starts from no. We will not be taking anything until you add our principles of a bathroom, seats, lighting, and things like that, where part of the program can be bringing, it's kind of like the borough board consultations in a way, but specifically for the parks, where EDC, parks, whoever's doing anything, give a plenary and stuff like that, and be in front of the people. So that's what I think I'd like to propose, that the committee take this on as a goal for 2022, which is what this exercise is supposed to do, in addition to hearing the other concepts, so that then you can also have another panel with the elected officials and say, what have you done on green policy? What legislation have you done? So that it culminates in responsibility and accountability and transparency. Because you have newly elected officials, you have a new city council, you have new committees being formulated, and they need to know that we are not at the back end of development, that we are in the forefront.
Great. Go ahead, Jennifer.
I just love this extra. I'm like, it's so late, but this is so much fun to listen to all your great ideas. But I was going to say that panel idea is so great. And I wanted to offer that Esplanade Friends sits on a Greenways coalition. And this is a citywide group of, bigger parks, greenways, conservancies than we are, smaller ones, lots of biking, walking advocates. And I'm sure people from that group, they're really, these are people who have snuck on to the new Harlem Greenway and asked me to come along for the ride next time. They're really committed even to this stretch, even though they've never been to these community boards. So they're constantly sending letters to elected officials. So if you'd like me to connect you to them, if you do a panel like this, they're really great speakers and really smart and know way more about waterfronts and parks and resiliency and climate justice than I've ever met. So that's just one thing. And the other thing is, I actually think that in this day and age, and would love this to go on the record, that I think it's pathetic that we have to think that you have to tell the Parks Department of, the greatest city in the world beforehand, that a stretch that's miles long and across the major highway on the eastern seaboard needs one bathroom and water and maybe a concession stand. You have to actually tell them that beforehand. That just seems, I don't even know what to say. So anyway.
Thank you,
But,
Jennifer.
but great job with this, and all the ideas I think are so great and interesting, and one of you should be the new Parks Commissioner.
Thanks, Jennifer. I also saw David Salerno's hand pop up for a moment. I just want to see if you had anything to say, David.
It was actually about the water fountains, going back to, I think it was Michelle. There actually is, I think there's a site that shows locations of them. I was gonna do that.
Sorry.
Which I've lost first. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, there is, if on the parks website where you can actually see where the some of the water fountains are located. That was pretty much what I was gonna say about just you can identify the locations. There's when they did the lead testing, it's not the best. It's not like a site you can pull up and just see like on your phone, mobile, but you can look at it and see where there are water fountains located.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
All right. Bringing it back to the committee. Go ahead, Michelle.
Thank you, David. I just wanted to find out, are those all working water fountains?
Well, I mean, the winter, a lot of them they're winterized a lot during this time of year. They should be working, and if they're not, you should put a 311 complaint in, and parks should respond and repair them. They should all be active fountains, and if they're not working, we want to know about it. I'll actually put the link in the chat to the site I'm talking about, so you have it.
Thank you so much, David. All right. If there are no other additions of goals, I think all of these goals are interrelated, as they always are. Michelle, you still have your hand up. Is that an old hand?
I wanted to say something else.
Okay, go ahead.
I think our umbrella is that we just want to increase the quality of life in our district. And by doing so, we would promote a way of having our civic pride increase. And when that increases, we want our area to be better.
Okay, I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit because I can't handle it. I need to be able to see everything at once. All right. Okay, so does anyone who hasn't yet spoken? Malik, thank you for raising your hand. Anyone else who hasn't yet spoken, please think about how we might frame these and select our top three. Malik?
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that we combine some of them, since you elegantly said that some of them are like interchangeable and like goals with one another, so that possibly we can have the best possible awareness to our community. And I mean, not to say like we have to combine everything so that it can fit, but if it naturally fits, then let's do so. I mean, my suggestion.
Yeah, no, I love that suggestion. And I agree. I think that potentially the first one and the third one go well together. I think this one's standalone and very important. The north of 116th. I think the drinking fountains could be combined with the sort of what Michelle was saying in terms of quality of life and the comfort stations, places to sit. This one, I think we did some work on the letter of support guidelines that, were more aimed towards, I guess, the later stage of these processes, where this one is more directed at before designs begin. Sometimes I think we don't even know when designs are going on, and that's a problem. So I think we can potentially adapt what we did for the letter of support guidelines to create a list such as this. And let's see. It would be great. I think these two here go pretty well together. The Green Conference and the like a district-wide parks advocacy group, just to not only have all of our parks advocacy groups in one place and be doing the work that they're doing and all connecting on that, but to bring that together with the community and other groups. So Diane, go ahead.
I apologize. I may have missed something. Let me develop a district-wide parks advocacy group. Are we talking about, well, one of the things I was thinking about, it's the same way that land use, they have a checklist, or maybe we should be looking at a checklist for our parks and green spaces. Something to think about.
Okay, let me add that here.
Personally, I think if we just put, and that would serve as a way for us to put a resolution, so people understand before they even sit down and talk to us, this is what this Parks Committee is going to ask for, and environmental, and as well as the other things that we deal with. Am I making sense, Jessica?
Yes. Thank you, Diane. Any other comments? I know we haven't heard from Russell. We haven't heard from Natasha. Do y'all have anything
had a
to add?
checklist. I honestly thought we had a checklist. I'm sorry.
Russell, go ahead. You're muted.
We had spoken some time ago about having like a brochure, pictorial, a map, because we as a committee, we don't even know where our parks are. We don't know the history of our parks. We don't know the activities that engaged in them. Things along that, and it could be an excellent, the park, everything. I'm not talking about parks alone, from everything, the open spaces, the green thumb places. Have something to that where it could be something that's promotable, historical, that matches what others have been saying about pride, community, positiveness. That's what I could add right now. I'm just a little stuck right now.
Thank you, Russell. Natasha, do you have any comments or thoughts?
Not really. I agreed with mostly what people are saying. I haven't had a chance to like thoroughly look through this, but yeah, from what I've seen, I agree with what most people are saying.
Okay, great. Does anyone want to make any suggestions of top choices or ways to combine?
I thought you just did that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna color code them, so. Just tell me if you disagree. Color coding. This one's a separate color. I'll leave it white.
I would be willing to work on a conference. Just putting it out there. And then adding these other pieces as like workshops or plenaries. You can put them into different tracks. And then that could be what the committee, one of the goals of the 2022 committee is that, we coordinate this annual event that looks at priorities, that looks at all these other things. I think it's kind of less like reconfiguring it. With what the tool is and what the outcome is, and then what the process is, right? So if you do, I'm not thinking of a logic model, but something.
Okay, thank you. Debbie, I'm gonna go to David since we haven't heard anything from him, and then we'll go to Diane, Russell, Michelle.
Hi. So, I just want to add that, when we talked about the checklist, I think this is what you and Malik kind of came up with really trying to do, right? So that in essence, each committee has a different kind of checklist of things when people come before us and what we do. And I think that that's so important. And just to work on that. I think everything we said with the bathrooms becomes I think that's our mission, is to make sure that there are bathrooms in parks. And maybe that's something we should really take on an additional piece as well. So, you know, the checklist comes. Are you planning a bathroom? If not, don't come back until you are. I mean, that's not, but you know, in essence, we keep running into the same issue. And it was nice to hear the presentation that we're trying to address it and find funding for this. So much appreciated. That's my 2 cents, Jessica.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to Diane, then Russell, then Michelle. Diane, you're on mute. Okay, we'll go to Russell and then we'll come back to Diane. Russell?
My question is, we're doing this for every year. We start planning for the year in January, February. When I'm of belief in most of the committees that I attend meetings to, that I'm sitting on, we should be ending our year in June, projecting what we're going to do from the year that we meet from September to June. As opposed to we'll start now, and then when will we allowed to come to a successful conclusion, and then we're starting up again with the 2-month interruption during the summer. That was something I wanted to commit on this graph, but I didn't think it had a place to fit. When we have a calendar year and we have our operating year, which is from September to June. Something to think about. What year are we talking about? 22 from February now to plan it, and then by the time we come to terms, it'll be June. And then we'll start all over again with a new set of priorities next year.
Angel, I'm wondering if you can speak as to why this happens in January and not July or June or whatever it is.
It's a calendar year, Russell. Don't overcomplicate it. You can keep working on things. You don't have to stop on December 31st if you're not finished by then. So in the past, community boards were required to submit an annual report. This is the nexus of it, the origin of it. An annual report to the borough president, and the committees were assigned to provide 3 goals and 3 accomplishments from each committee that would then be put into that annual report that was submitted to the borough president. And that would happen at the beginning of the year. That's why the January.
Thank you for that clarity.
No problem.
Diane, are you there? All right, we'll go to Michelle and then David.
I was just going to help with the organization of things.
Please.
Yes. I'm sorry. I was sorry. In the
No, it's
kitchen
okay.
getting.
Oh, go ahead.
No, Michelle, you continue.
Okay, I was just going to help with the organization of it, with the quality of life, to have where, as David was saying, you have a place to sit, a place to drink, a place to have open air. And so to bunch those 3 things together. You started to color coordinate the things.
So you're talking about
just so that we can get those 3 points out, so we can get our tasks together.
Yeah. David.
Oh, excuse me. I'm drinking salsa. I'm so sorry.
No, you're so fine. Thanks for bringing a little.
I second that motion.
Okay.
I thought I muted myself.
All right.
Oh, and also to have a community built, like we have a community thing for I think it was Debbie to have the conference.
Yep.
If it's not in the middle of a weekday, I would like to be part of, to help out with it. If it's on a weekend, specifically a Saturday,
Okay.
I would like to help. Also, I think it's important to have a community building section as we did last summer, where we go and just walk around our parks as a group. I really think that that's having a community building portion within the community building committee is really important.
Yes, agree. Okay, well, it sounds like I know I just grouped 4 of them together that are all green here. So the improved alignment and communication with electeds and city agencies, information sessions regarding what environmental justice means, an explanation of sustainable terms, develop a district-wide parks advocacy group, and the Green Conference. I think that this touches on electeds and city community members and the people already doing all of this work and combining them into one thing. So in my opinion, I think we can loop in these 4 goals as one single goal. And then I think Russell, the parks map, I think we used a map that was I forget who created it, but it had all the parks in our district, and parks also has I used a lot of their websites on our parks to understand the history, but it was kind of like a not great history explanation of these parks. It was very like George Washington was blah blah blah, and it's like that's not what we're here for. So I think we could maybe group this, not necessarily a parks map, but an improving parks history and experiences in the parks, and then with a focus on parks north of 116th. And these 2 go together, as I talked about before. Do these buckets, not that we have to do everything all the time, but these seem interrelated to me. Does anyone have any comments on that?
Wait a minute. So no one wants to improve participation above 116th Street?
No, that's what I said. Yeah, I think that the as Russell brought up the map of our parks and open space, I think we already have tools like that, which we use to create our parks tours. And the history we pulled from the DPR websites for each of those parks. But like I said, the history wasn't great. And I think that in improving participation of north of 116th parks, we could also, address the history aspect and experiences in the park.
Okay, sounds, I just wanted to make sure.
No, I'm gonna get it in there. Michelle, your hand's still up. I'm not sure if it's an old. Okay,
No.
Russell.
I was actually in my own notes scribbling down. I was actually saying that could be a brochure with all that included in it.
Oh,
So
God.
it's a public thing.
More like an
Brochure.
app, sure.
What'd you say, Michelle?
More like an app, because I mean, if you want the younger individuals to get involved.
Let me tell y'all that we are one committee and I don't know any one of us that has experience making apps. I think we could pull together a brochure, but I think that would be a really heavy lift. Unless, all these things are going to take, more than just Malik and I and, whoever else, contributing. So these are going to be big asks. So we have to understand our limitations. Diane?
So to the your first point, Jessica, improve alignment and communication with electeds. And I'm sure that there are people on this committee that also have worked on Harlem Hospital and Metropolitan Cabs. They have what they call a legislative day, where they basically go and talk to the electeds about what their needs are. And I think it'd be a great idea for you and Malik and whoever else you want to take with you to set up a meeting, including Angel, set up a meeting with them and say, okay, this is what we are about. And this is, we want to know where you stand, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
sort of like a Parks Day, if you want to call it that, with the electeds.
Debbie?
I said that last year. I'm
You
sorry.
did?
I'm sorry. I think that's, if you recall, I think that I think that Earth Day should be our high holy day. Earth Day in April should be our high holy day, where we can have this conference, we can have legislative visits, and we can just throw policy out there, and then we will be within the time frame of, you know, our year from September to June. You just got to do this in a way that all members here take on responsibilities, because we always throw out these ideas and then no one does it. And I'm guilty. I will say that I'm guilty of it too, because I don't read my emails. But I'm saying this committee as a goal should adapt Earth Day as their high holy educational policy conference week, even a week, so that we can use that as a way to bring us all together with the priority list, with everything, so that everybody knows annually Earth Day is the shit in East Harlem. Sorry.
Thank you,
I'm
Debbie.
hungry. I'm gonna eat my apple and I'm gonna go.
Okay. Any final comments? Does anyone have any issues with the groupings in color as they are? Sorry, I can't fit them all on one page, so. All right. No comments on the groupings?
Can I just interject? Are benches there somewhere? Did I?
Yep, place to sit down. Drinking fountains. They're just gonna. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just can't see it.
Oh, it's here in this box.
Oops. Yeah.
Okay. What's our priority? Top priority? Do we want to make it these green boxes, since there's 4 of them? Or do we want to break them up? Angel, we have to vote today, right?
You should, but you can wait another month. Like, no one's gonna get fired or anything.
Connie?
Not even Connie.
Yeah. The meeting is arranging a sit down with the electeds, I think maybe should be a priority, because East Harlem doesn't have a strong, there's not enough attention being paid to public space in general. And in my mind, you really can't separate parks from public spaces. It's placemaking, it's urban planning, it's all one thing. And it's, it was ignored during the rezoning conversations. It's being ignored in the preservation conversation. So maybe that should be the priority, so that our elected officials understand how important this is.
Michelle? Thank you, Connie.
You're welcome.
I with Connie, we should get them while they're excited and they want to show all the things that they could do. I think this is the best time to get them involved.
Michelle?
Oh, you didn't hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes, I heard you. I thought it was Diane. Diane.
Oh, sorry about that. Jessica, I'm, depending on what the rest of the committee would like, I think perhaps if Angel says think it's okay, perhaps if we can, vote on this next week.
Yeah.
Vote on this next month, where you can group everything that everybody has said and try to consolidate it as much as you can into 3 or 4. And then we can vote. Or if you have the time and understanding, again, I preface it by saying, if you have the time to try to do it before full board or the executive meeting. So I can only speak for Diane, and I think that would probably be the better way to go.
I think that's a good idea. I can take a stab at grouping these into three. And then what it seems, I mean, just, you know, what, I guess, order they're in, and we can share that via email. I just ask that everyone respond to the email and let me know if I'm, you know, if I've got them in the wrong order, if there's any issues. And I don't think we would need to do that before executive or full board just to get it on the full board agenda, but I can do that in the next week and then make sure that that's ready for us to vote on next month, if that's okay with everyone.
I think there's enough passion tonight that you'll get responses this time.
Yeah.
I think. There've been some quiet ones, but the ones who are quiet usually.
The ones who are quiet, what?
The ones who are quiet, they'll respond.
Yeah.
Call them out, Jessica.
All right. Well, any final comments on this as I'll go through and organize it in an email so it's easier for everyone to digest and we can vote next month. Debbie, go ahead. You're on mute, Debbie.
Sorry, if this is a report to the Borough President's Office, you know, in terms of the goals.
I don't think it is. I think that is what it used to be, but now is not anymore.
Because what I was gonna say, that we also should be conducting annual walking tours to the parks.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of that, that was the one accomplishment that we had. So I don't see any other additions for accomplishments. I don't think we need to vote on our top accomplishments, right, Angel?
Okay.
No.
No. Okay, good.
And just to, Jessica, I'm sorry, just to be clear, the voting is just for you all to agree, like to document that you're agreeing on these are the goals that you're going to be working on in the year. It doesn't need to be ratified or anything like that.
And the accomplishments are not really as important.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, we led 2 parks tours, even though they didn't have enough people. It was great to go out and see the parks, and we should continue to do boots on the ground activities, which I think all of these speak to. Okay, so we'll move on. Thank you, everyone, for your. All right. I think the last thing we have on our agenda is old business to vote on the Central Park lawn sports. I'm not sure if anyone is here from the lawn sports.
Yes, we are. This is
thank
Barry.
you.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi,
And,
Barry.
Jim is with us, and perhaps Luis, I don't know.
Great. Thank you so much for being here and for sitting through our
This is a wonderful experience.
Wonderful meeting.
I'm learning a lot, and I love the crew people. I thought that was really great.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Great. So you know, I think we all heard the presentation last month. They're asking for support to improve the maintenance of the playing fields as well as a comfort station. Is that correct, Barry?
Well, let me just adjust. I know conversations are a hot topic here. So I would just say
seen it today.
Well, it's come up quite a lot, but I'll just say that I mean, I totally, get the, heard what was said last time in terms of, it's hard enough to get resources in your own neighborhood, let alone support things elsewhere. I think from us, the priority is really the fact that, we have we've been in the park 100 years and in the city since its very beginning. And we just want to, it's the park, the area that we play in needs significant improvement for us to sustain and be able to play the sports that we have. And we come to your community board because you're nearby the park. And as much as, so what we have, while not maybe in your direct neighborhood, is accessible to you. And we also reach out to your community as others. As I said before, we have a relation with Carter Burden, and in fact, we brought them indoor. We're bringing them indoor lawn bowling this winter, once now that COVID is hopefully winding down and they're reopening. So we would love, and we welcome you guys to be a part of what we do. So really, it's about sustaining our presence and being able to play the games in the way they were intended, and the beauty of the sport.
Great. Thank you so much, Barry, for the follow-up and for being here. Are there any questions from the board in regards to this. Michelle, your hand's still up. I'm not sure if it's an old hand.
I was just curious to find out, would we be voting on other letter of support for both the lawn and the comfort station?
It's up to us.
It's up to you. You know, as far as we're concerned, again, our priority is the green itself and and being able to play the sport in the way it's intended. I just brought that conversation up in passing last time because of the lack of them, as I guess everywhere in the city and as well as down near Sheep's Meadow. So,
thank you, Barry. Diane.
Thank you.
So just refresh my memory. How were they going to engage local community kids from East Harlem?
right. So in the same way we reached out to the folks at Carter Burden. We are trying to do that in all, in all areas of the New York City community. And, so certainly we do that just as we do it naturally because we have signage outside as we play, and welcoming people to come and participate. And, and if there's any, any way we can be proactive that, we're willing or happy to take those suggestions or referrals and introductions from you guys.
Right. No, absolutely. As we remarked last time, we'd be more than happy to bring both of our sports to parks that are closer to the communities of Northern Manhattan. And we welcome that sort of thing. Just by way of reference, several years ago, one of our members is a college counselor at a high school, actually in the South Bronx. And what he did was he developed for lawn bowling a youth league, which recruited a number of the students from his school. And he found that it really served two purposes. One was to introduce students to, in that case, lawn bowling, but the other was to be able to supplement their college applications with different sorts of activities. Because candidly, and as you well know, opportunities for different sorts of sports activities in various parts of Manhattan and New York generally are not that manifold. And so lawn bowling became an opportunity to expand that the repertoire of activities that those students could have in this as really as part of their college applications. So absolutely, both clubs really want to work with the communities, both with respect to the actual play of lawn bowling and croquet in Central Park and the greens, but also to move it out to park and other facilities within the larger New York borough communities.
And I'll just add to that, as we're bringing an indoor playing field to bring into Carter Burden's facilities, if we could take that and move it even as the weather's nicer outdoors, and put it in a park for the day and bring lawn bowling and, to the community, and we welcome that.
Thank you both. Diane, does that answer your question?
Somewhat. I think I'd feel more comfortable in the wording to include community engagement.
Yep. Would you like to make a motion?
Oh, no. It's getting too late in the evening. The painkiller is wearing off.
I'm sorry. Does anyone else want to make a motion?
I mean, just requesting support. Increase, is it increased? D, community access.
Yes.
Sports in Central Park. And support petition to the Central Park Conservancy for improved playing facilities. I don't know where to put that community engagement.
So what we could just do with the condition that that the groups work with the community board to identify schools and groups that could, blah, blah, blah.
Right, you're right, to work with the community board on the condition that they work with the community board to engage local youth to participate.
Local youth and others.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, not just youth, where seniors fare very well at our sports. Very
I understand, Barry. I understand.
All right, so I'm gonna repeat what I thought what I think your motion is, Diane, if that's okay.
Right. I mean, the motion is, but I'm adding a condition.
Got it. Okay, so it's a motion to support, as they've requested, improved maintenance on the playing facilities with the condition that the groups work with the community board and this committee to identify groups from youth to seniors that can take advantage of their facilities and organization.
And Jessica, if I may add, and it's yours to write, not mine, but the word maintenance, they provide, the Central Park Conservancy provides ongoing maintenance for us. So I think the word, it's really about capital improvements to restore, we
Right.
bring them to their, to the appropriate.
Yes.
plane.
Instead of maintenance, we'll rewrite to say, yeah, exactly what you said. I think you might have sent us a draft letter
Right.
Redevelopment, et cetera, along
Yep.
those lines.
because it needs refurbishment at the end of the day.
Exactly right.
Michelle?
Also to have somewhere in that reverb, in that sentence, to have it where it's an economically available to our community as well.
Right, that was brought up last time and we certainly support that.
And in fact, most of, virtually all of what we'll call the outreach efforts are free to those people who are participating in them.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so it
the
sounds like
costs are borne by the clubs.
Great. So it sounds like we have a friendly amendment to the previously stated motion to include the financial ability to participate in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, Michelle?
Yes, thank you.
Do I have a second?
I will second with that amendment, friendly amendment added.
Great, thank you, Michelle. And Diane, just to make sure that amendment is okay with you.
That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you. All right, we'll vote.
And Collier,
Yes.
Jessica Elliott,
Yes.
David, Connie,
I'm gonna vote no.
Malik,
Yes.
Debbie,
See,
Natasha,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Michelle, the motion carries.
Yes.
All right, we made it. We made it, y'all. Thank you to Barry and I'm sorry, I forgot.
Jim, thank you for having
Jim.
us.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
so much.
Appreciate it very much. Have a good evening.
You
Have a
too.
great evening, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right. Do we have any other old business from our committee members? All right. Any new business?
Just wishing each other a happy new year.
Oh my gosh, it's February. Happy New Year. All right.
Happy Chinese New Year.
Happy Lunar New Year.
Lunar, thank
Yeah.
you. Oh my God, happy Lunar New Year. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Okay. I'm the worst. Seeing no further business, we'll take roll call. One last time.
We just did.
Technically not.
No, that was the vote.
I'm just
How long
saying.
does it take for you guys to get the gist of that?
I'm just
2
saying that.
years, 4 years,
Dude,
75
really?
years? It's rather
All
simple.
right, let's get it over with.
Diane,
Yes.
so the answer is present. Jessica,
Present, yes.
David,
I am present.
Connie,
Present.
Malik,
Is it yes or present? Because I want to know if I'm voting or.
Well, I know you're Malik. I want to know if you're here. Debbie,
Present.
Presente.
Natasha,
Present.
Russell,
Present.
Michelle,
Present.
you have quorum.
All right, if there are no objections, we will adjourn the meeting. Seeing no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 9:06. Thank you, everyone. I will follow up via email. Y'all are the best. Have a great night.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you, Jessica, for putting up with